AI models can now control your computer. Yes, you heard me correctly. Anthropic has just released Claude Sonnet 3.5 and Claude 3.5 Haiku. Now, at the time of recording this, Claude, the new upgraded Claude 3.5 Sonnet model, now has computer use capabilities. And shortly, soon, Claude 3.5 Haiku will have computer use capabilities. I'm not a big fan of the naming convention for the new Claude 3.5 Sonnet model. They should have done 4 or 3.6 or something to differentiate this from the old one. But other than that, let's dive in and just see exactly what is going on, because this really excites me. This is exactly what I've been hoping for with AI and AI agents. The ability to interact directly with your machine, to essentially fuse more or less with your computer system to carry out tasks on your behalf. So I'll tell you right now, this is still in a very primitive state. It can't do a ton of different things, but I will kind of show you exactly what it can do currently, as well as explain a lot of the use cases that we'll see down the road. So first and foremost, these new models, specifically the new Claude 3.5 Sonnet, delivers across the board improvements over its predecessor, with particular significant gains in coding. And if you're familiar with Claude, it already led the field. It is the best model in terms of coding, for sure. Now, what's really interesting is the new Claude Haiku model matches the performance of Claude 3 Opus, which is the previous largest model from Anthropic. And yes, this new computer use is in public beta, meaning that you can use this right now via API, which we'll take a look at in just a bit. So you can direct Claude to use your computers exactly the way people do, by looking at a screen, moving a cursor, clicking buttons, and typing texts. Just think about that. You can now have an AI model, an LLM, look at your screen, move your cursor, click buttons, and input text. And yes, it is still experimental, and there are a lot of errors that people are seeing. Some of them are hilarious, which we'll look at, but it is, yes, cumbersome and error prone, hence the public beta. So let's take a look at this real quick.
So I'm Sam, and I'm one of the researchers here at Anthropic. Computer use is something that we felt was going to be important for a while now. And so today we're going to be talking about a very early version we have of computer use and talking through a representative example of the things we think it's going to be useful for. We're going to be going through a quick demo today. In this fictional demo, a customer, in this case the Ant Equipment Company, has come to us and asked us to fill out a vendor request form. The data I need to fill out this form is scattered in various places on my computer. What we're going to do is ask Claude to look at the spreadsheet, check if Ant Equipment is in there, and if not, move over to the CRM and try and find some more information there. Once it has this data, Claude's going to then fill out the form for us and hopefully transfer the information across to the vendor form. The first thing that's going to happen is Claude's going to start taking screenshots of my screen and quickly realizes that the Ant Equipment Company isn't actually in the spreadsheet. So the first thing it does is it swaps over to a CRM and searches for the company we're interested in. Luckily, we get a search match, and Claude then starts scrolling through the page, looking for all the information it needs to fill out this form. Claude then autonomously starts transferring the information across without me having to do anything, and goes through the steps and fills out all the information needed. And then submits the form. This example is representative of a lot of drudge work that people have to do. This is available in the API. We're excited for people to try it, and we should expect things to get a lot better over the coming months.
If you don't grasp completely what just happened, Claude essentially took information from a spreadsheet, realized that the needed information was missing, then was able to search the database. In this instance, it was from a CRM, a customer relationship management system, typically used for businesses. And then it was able to pull that information and then take that information and then put it into a form within the CRM. So this is insane, just even at this stage. Like I said previously, this is a very primitive form of where we're at in terms of computer use for AI agents. Now let's quickly just browse over these benchmark tests for the top models in the industry. So you have the new 3.5 Sonnet model. Again, that is terrible naming convention. They should have just 3.6 or Claude 4 Sonnet. Come on, guys. But you can see here the graduate level reasoning, 65%. It is industry leading across the board. The undergraduate level model using the MMMLU Pro, which is the benchmark test for testing large language models. And you can see 78%, so a huge improvement. And then in terms of code, it is still industry leading, and it is sitting at a 93.7%. Then math problem solving is the only area that it's being beaten by Gemini Pro. Then you can see all these other criteria evaluations there. As of right now, they are saying instead of making specific tools to help Claude complete individual tasks, we're teaching it general computer skills, allowing it to use a wide range of standard tools and software programs designed for people. So it's teaching it how to use programs that are intended for the use of people, which is very interesting because we're entering a new ground here. We're teaching an AI agent, an AI model, to interact with tools that are built for humans. Just think about that for a sec. So to make these general skills possible, we've built an API that allows Claude to perceive and interact with computer interfaces. Now, I don't want you to get too terrified yet. Your job is not at risk, at least not for a little bit longer, because on OS World, which evaluates AI models' ability to use computers like people do, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, the new one, scored 14.9% in the screenshot-only category, notably better than the next best AI system score of 7.8. When afforded more steps to complete the task, Claude scored 22%. So what does that mean? So OS World is the benchmarking multimodal agents for open-ended tasks in real computer environments. So it's essentially an environment for testing LLMs in a computer environment. So I want you to realize that Claude currently gets 14.9%, or around 20% based off of how many resources it's allocated. But that's currently nowhere near human level skill, which is generally 70 to 75%. So it's still a long ways away from human level ability to interact with a computer. But you know as well as I do how quickly this technological space evolves. So currently 14.9%, where will it be a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? With the emergence of other technologies like robotics, you can only imagine how much of an impact this is going to make on society in both good and bad ways. So how exactly does this work in its current state? So first, we're just going to go over the API documentation here. We're not going to go in depth. We're not going to go in the weeds on exactly how this works, but just a basic understanding will help you do just that, give you a basic understanding. So you're going to essentially provide Claude with computer use tools and a prompt. You're going to give it instructions. So you're going to build the virtual environment for it and give it a prompt that will require the tools needed. So for example, here, save a picture of a cat to my desktop. And then based off of your prompt, it will decide on what tool to use. All right. So it will assess the task at hand and determine what tools it will need for the task. And then it will take whatever tool it needs and then use it and return results. And then based off of the results, it'll analyze the results and then determine whether or not it was able to complete the task. And then it will If it needs to still use the tool, then it will go back to step 3. If it needs to use a different tool, then it will take that information, go back to step 3. So we refer to the repetition of steps 3 and 4 without user input as the agent loop. So it will continuously loop until there is more input from the user, or if it completes the task, or if it just has an error and fails completely. Now, I would imagine a lot of you are wondering, why are people doing this? Like, you've seen the Terminator, you've seen the Matrix. Like, why are people creating this kind of technology? Because of course there are going to be people, some bad actors, some people with ill intent, who are going to abuse this and create a possible catastrophe, right? The law of unintended consequences. Why are people doing this? Well, this is kind of unrelated to this article, but if we don't create this technology, the technology to create this technology is already there. So we need to be the first with good intentions. We need to be the first to create this technology so we can prevent any potential misuse of this technology. So we can put up safeguards in a sense. So enabling AIs to interact directly with computer software in the same way people do will unlock a large range of applications that simply aren't possible for the current generation of AI assistants. Over the last few years, many important milestones have been reached in the development of powerful AI. For example, the ability to perform complex logical reasoning and the ability to see and understand images. The next frontier is computer use. So it is literally the next stage in the advancement of this technology. So like I said, if we and I mean the people with good intentions, the people who want to front run this industry, if we don't do it, the technology is there for someone else to do it, and we don't know their intentions. So if we front run the industry, we can develop infrastructure to prevent any sort of catastrophes to the best of our ability. So currently, they have found that the updated Claude 3.5 Sonnet model, including its new computer use skill, still remains at a AI safety level of 2, which is basically where most of the models are at right now. So when future models require AI safety level 3 or 4 safeguards because they present catastrophic risks, computer use might exacerbate those risks. So they judge that it's likely better to introduce computer use now while models are still only needing safety level 2 safeguards. So similar to what I mentioned, this technology is only going to get more and more advanced. So if they develop these things now with the capabilities of these models still relatively low, they can prevent any possible catastrophes down the road, at least to the best of our ability. And it's funny too, because one concern that the safety team has identified already is something called prompt injection. So since Claude can interpret screenshots from the computers connected to the internet, it's possible that it may be exposed to content that improves a prompt injection attack. So it's essentially a cyber attack that allows a third party to input a prompt into this AI model that is running on your machine. So this is something that they're aware of and something that they're addressing. But as you can imagine, if someone were to take over an AI agent that has control over your computer, you can only imagine the kind of harm that could do. Now, right now, they have systems in place for nudging Claude away from activities like generating and posting content on social media, registering web domains, or interacting with government websites. They have systems in place to monitor when this is being requested of Claude. But other than that, they're being consistent with their standard approach to data privacy. So by default, they don't train their generative AI models on user-submitted data, including any of the screenshot Claude receives. So all of your data is not being used to train their AI. It's not going into their database. They're not using it themselves. And then lastly, this tweet from Anthropic states that while recording these demos, we encountered some amusing moments. In one, Claude accidentally stopped a long-running screen recording, causing all footage to be lost. And then later, Claude took a break from our coding demo and began to pursue photos of Yellowstone National Park. So it decided to stop recording and then it started browsing photos of Yellowstone. very interesting. It's exciting and terrifying. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts, so definitely let me know what you think about this. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next video. Keep conquering.